Warm greetings to one and all. Welcome back to the channel. Now we are going to see regarding the concept types of parsers, isn't it? The parsers are generally classified into two types, that is top down parser and as well as bottom up parser. So in this video especially I am going to focus regarding the concept of top down parser and what are the disadvantages of top down parser and how to overcome those disadvantages in top down parser, isn't it? This is what the complete scenario of this video. So in the top down parser, whatever the input we are doing and whatever the process we are doing, we should do from top to bottom. So now let us do the example of top down approach mechanism. So by seeing that example we can understand very easily regarding the concept of top down parser. So here I have taken an example of grammar. S is a grammar gives rise to X, P and Z, and P is a grammar which gives rise to Y, W or Y. So this is the grammar given by them and they said to generate the string X, Y, Z. They said to generate the grammar of X, Y, Z. So here while moving to this concept we have to know regarding the two terms, that is what are non-terminals and what are terminals. What are the things which are starting with the capital letters? Those are non-terminals. And what are the things which are starting with the small letters? Those are terminals. Isn't it? Now let us start constructing the syntax tree of this particular grammar and let us generate this particular string. So now I will take S is a grammar which gives rise to X, P, Z. Here why I have taken only S instead of P, because S is a start node. That is what the reason I have taken only S instead of P. So now whatever the thing we have generated in the step number 1, compare with an output. So what is the grammar we generated? X, P, Z. But what the output we need? X, Y, Z. So this is not the required string actually. So now what I will do is, in the place of P I will write Y, W. So in the place of P you can replace Y, W or Y. You have two options. So I am replacing the token Y, W. So now it will check with the output what we require. So now what is the token we will get? X, Y, W, Z. So isn't the thing that we require? No. We require X, Y, Z. But what we got here? X, Y, W, Z. So this is also a wrong mechanism. Here P we have selected a wrong one. So now what we have to perform is, we have to perform here backtracking. Means we are performing undo operation for the P. So what, by performing a backtracking, so this step will be gone and again whatever the thing which is in the step number 1, that the same thing will appear. So in the place of P, now again I am replacing with an alternate variable, that is Y. So now I am replacing with Y. So now what the string we got? X, Y, Z. Isn't it the string what they asked? So here in the top down mechanism, whatever the task we are doing, so the grammar actually will check, the parser actually will check with all the available inputs. So it will not take what input it needs actually. So if we here in this P there are yw and y. Actually, it can take a y variable and complete the task very easily. So instead of that, it will check with all the possibilities. So by doing like that here, there are major disadvantages like it takes more time for executing the task and the compilation time will be more. These are the few disadvantages of them. So now let us see, apart from this, let us see what are the more disadvantages with the top-down mechanism. The first disadvantage is backtracking. Performing the backtracking operation is a major disadvantage. Second one is left recursion. Third one is left factoring. Fourth one is ambiguity. So now let us see each and every one individually how to remove that particular problem in our given grammar. So first one, backtracking. So let us consider a grammar. S is a grammar gives rise to A, B, C. P is a grammar gives rise to D, E, F, G, H, I. So now what I have to generate is A. So what I have to generate is small a, capital small a, F, G, C. So isn't it? Now I have to generate this particular grammar. Now let us consider a parse tree based on these input strings. So now I have taken a S token. So S is a token gives rise to variables A, B and C, isn't it? So here B variable is giving to D, E, F, G, H, I. It is dividing into 3 tokens. So in a place of B, I am replacing with the token D and E. Now it will check with the available grammar. Is the grammar what we got is correct? What we got here, A, D, E, C. So what do we need? A, F, G, C. So here the grammar is mismatching. So here backtracking will occur to the variable B. So in a place of D, E, it is incorrect. So it will replace with the variable F, G. So again it will check with an output string. What do we require? So A, F, G, C. So isn't the thing what we got? So now the backtracking will not occur. Why? Because the given input string and what the grammar we got is correct. So this is how you will perform the backtracking. In any example, if you observe the symbol like this with arrow mark, that indicates that the backtracking has happening to the particular token. So isn't it? So this is how we will perform the operation of backtracking. So now let us see point number 2, left recursion. So while performing the left recursion, let us note down the few formulas. So the left recursion is performed when any non-terminals are repeating n number of times. In the place of that non-terminals, we will replace with the value either alpha or beta. So now let us consider a graph A, this A again gives rise to AA, this A again gives rise to AA, so on. The non-terminals are repeating continuously. So to eliminate the repetition of the non-terminals, we will perform the operation of left recursion. So what we will do is A. So in the left side I will write A. So in the right side to eliminate that I will mention with alpha. Again A. In the right side I will mention with alpha. A. In the right side I will mention with alpha. So by doing this so on. So by doing this operation, we are eliminating the concept of left recursion. So now let us take a small example how the left recursion problem will be solved. So let us take a small example. I will note down the example. E tends to E plus T or T. This is what example I have taken. This is what the grammar I have taken. So while performing left recursion operation for this following grammar, first you have to compare this grammar with this particular statement, isn't it? For example, while you are doing any mathematics, if you found somewhere 2 plus 3 whole square, then definitely what you will do, you will write in the form of A plus B whole square, isn't it? You will write in this following format. So what is the reason of doing like this? Means to make the task simpler, isn't it? In the same manner, I am also comparing the input string with the particular grammar. So here in this grammar, E tends to E plus T or T. Here this is an A, this E is an A, this plus T completely is considered as alpha, this T is considered as beta. So you have to consider this following grammar as this manner. A tends to A, alpha or beta. So while considering you please remember that plus symbol is also considered. While considering alpha value, you should not consider only the variable. You have to take an input with a symbol, isn't it? Now let us, after considering this grammar, the next step what you have to do is you have to convert this particular grammar into these two steps, isn't it? So next what we have to do is here we have A tends to beta A inverse. So here we have a variable A, that is why I have written variable A, but I have written variable E, that is why I will write E tends to beta. So in the place of beta what variable I have? T. A inverse. So in the place of A what variable I have? E, that is why I will write E inverse. So this is the first step. So this is the first one I converted. So second step. So A inverse, here they have A, that is why they have written A inverse. Now I have here E, that is why I will write E inverse, tends to alpha A inverse. So here alpha is plus T, A inverse plus T, E inverse or epsilon. This is how you convert the grammar into left recursion, isn't it? This is how you convert the following grammar into left recursion. So here in this example, if you observe, we have only one input statement. So you got two output statements, isn't it? If you have two input statements, you are going to get four output statements. If you have three input statements, you are going to get six output statements. And another thing you have to remember is, if there are no any symbols in a particular place, you can replace them with the value of epsilon. So I will show how to replace the epsilon value if there is no values in the point number 3. I will show clearly in a left factoring instead of in left regression. So it will be very easy for understanding. So once again I am repeating, while performing the left regression values, by comparing with this formula and noting down these values and comparing with these values and performing the task will be very easy to perform left recursion operation. So third one is left factoring. So same as a left recursion, in the left factoring also we have some formulas. Based on that we will proceed. First I will note down the formulas here. So here why we will perform left recursion operation means in a grammar if any non-terminals or terminals, if any terminals are repeating multiple number of times, so what we will do is instead of repeating that particular variable 2 times or 3 times, we will repeat that variable only for the one time, isn't it? If any terminals means only the small letters, in this example only the small letters are repeating multiple number of times, in that particular place we will replace with the variables. So now whatever the grammars we have taken, so in the before example left recursion we have taken only one grammar. So now in a left factoring concept we are taking two grammars. We are taking A and as well as B. So now first thing what we have to do is same in a left recursion how you compared with an input string. So this one also we have to compare with input string. So now I will do for first input statement. This is second input statement. Let us proceed with the left input statement. So A tends to small a, capital B or small a, capital A. So this is what A tends to. Here in the place of A it is A only. In a place of alpha, you see, if you observe here alpha is common. So in such case, so here small a is common, capital A is common. Even though capital A is common here and here, we will not consider capital A. Why? Because we will not take non-terminals. We will consider only terminals. That is why here alpha is A. Isn't it? We will not take non-terminals. We will take only terminals. That is why I have not considered this A value. This value is considered as beta. So again as it is, this value is alpha. This value is gamma. So based on this comparison, let us frame these two statements, isn't it? So first statement is A tends to alpha A inverse. What is the alpha here? A dash. Next, A dash tends to, what is the beta value here? AB, or what is the gamma value here? A. So this is how you will perform the task. So now you have performed for, here in our example we have two grammars, but we have performed the task for only one grammar. So we got first two steps. So now let us take a statement number 2. So what we have, B tends to small b, capital B or small b. So as it is, in the same manner you will compare with an input, you compare with this statement A tends to alpha. What is alpha here? B value is alpha. This is beta. This is alpha. So here we didn't have any gamma value. So if we didn't have gamma value, what we have to do is, let us see in the example. So here A tends to, here they have given A, but we didn't have A, we have B value. So here I will write B tends to alpha, what is small b, A inverse means capital B inverse. So in the second statement, B inverse tends to, what is the beta value here? Capital B. So we didn't have a gamma value, so I will write epsilon here. So if we didn't have any value in that place, we will replace with epsilon value, isn't it? We will replace with not epsilon value, it is epsilon symbol, isn't it? So if you didn't have any variable, so we should not leave that particular place as empty. We should replace with a epsilon variable. This is how you will perform a left factoring operation. So here even in performing left factoring operation, you have to remember this statement. Based on this statement, you have to compare our input statement and you have to perform these two operations. For each and every grammar, you will get two operations. So totally we have two grammar statements. So we will get 4 output statements. So isn't it? So now move to the last statement, that is ambiguity. Ambiguity means representing the same thing in a multiple number of ways, isn't it? Ambiguity means representing the same thing in a multiple number of ways. Now I will show the procedure. I will show regarding ambiguity with a small leftmost derivative concept. So, and I will say why we should not perform the thing in a multiple number of ways in a compiling. So now let us take a small example. S is a grammar gives rise to S plus S. S is a grammar gives rise to 2. So this is the grammar they have given. They said to generate 2 plus 2 plus 2. This is the thing they have given to generate. So now let us start with an so I will take this symbol first. Why I have taken this one instead of this one is because this is a start symbol. So now let us start. S tends to S plus S. So here we will perform a leftmost derivative operation. So if you are very familiar with leftmost derivative, you can listen. So if you are not that much familiar with the leftmost derivative concept, you can listen to my previous video regarding the concept of leftmost derivative and rightmost derivative. So after that you can listen from this. Okay, after listening that video, you can come back here and you can listen here. So now we will perform a leftmost derivative operation. So here I have taken a value S tends to S plus S. So now what I will do is this S I will write as common, and this in place of this S I will modify as S plus S, isn't it? In the third step, what I will do is I will replace this S as 2 value and I will write this S plus S as it is. Next step I will write 2 plus, in place of this I will modify as 2 and I will write remaining string as it is. In the last step I will write as it is. So now we got actual grammar. So now let us construct the parse tree of this grammar. So first I am taking S variable. So I have written S plus S variable from S. So from this S I have generated into S plus S. So again I have converted this S to 2 and this S to 2 and this S to 2. So this is how we got a parse tree, isn't it? So is it only one method to perform the task? No. We can also perform the leftmost derivative in another manner. So let us see another manner, and I will keep this parse tree as it is. Why? Because to understand the concept of ambiguity, we should have two parse trees. So I will keep that parse tree as it is, and now I will generate another one. So s tends to s plus s. So now what I will do is I will change this s as s plus s plus s. So now I will modify first s as 2 plus s plus s. Now 2 plus 2 plus s, 2 plus 2 plus 2. This is how. This is a second option how we can generate as leftmost derivative. Now let us construct a graph, isn't it? S is a grammar, tends to s plus s. So this s is modified as s plus s. This s is written as this. This s is modified to 2 plus 2 plus s plus s as it is. Okay, 2 plus 2 plus 2. So if you observe these two graphs, so whatever the grammar given by them, we generated the parses based on their input only. But we got two different parses. If you observe the structure of the parse tree, these two structures of a parse tree are quite different. So isn't it? If our inputs, if you perform the task how as whatever we want, so the grammars what it generates are quite different. So that is what the reason the compiler finds difficulty to take what type of the compiler will find difficulty to choose which grammar should I select for processing the task. So isn't it? So while performing such a kind of task, we should perform the task as a leftmost derivative. So this procedure is completely wrong, isn't it? This is not the complete procedure. So you have to, in this example, we have expanded this s, first s. So after that I have expanded slowly. So in the previous example, what I have written? So for this, what I have written? S plus s, s plus s plus s, 2 plus s plus s, 2 plus 2 plus s, 2 plus 2 plus 2. This is the where leftmost derivative I have done for this grammar. So here in this grammar I have modified this one, this s token. So here I have modified this one. So that is why the change in the parse tree you can observe. So you should not perform this operation. You should perform only this type of operation. Why? Because the operation should be goes from left side to right side. That is why the parse tree was got like this manner. If you perform from right side to left side, you will get this manner. So the suggestion is to perform the task from left to right only. This is what the concept ambiguity means. Ambiguity means representing a multiple number of ways for a single input or single variable, isn't it? We should not give an ambiguity to the compiler. Why? Because if you give the ambiguity to compiler, the compiler finds difficulty to proceed with what type of parse tree. It will find difficulty, or it will find confusing to with which grammar I should proceed to the next step, isn't it? This is what the concept of ambiguity. So these are the major disadvantages of top-down parsing. So thanks for watching the video. Thank you.